yesterday we were studying about different essential nutrients which our body require, and we discussed about what are nutrients and what is the importance of different nutrients, right? Today we are going to discuss in detail about um, carbohydrates. All right. If
It's
anyone can just revise these six types of nutrients which we discussed yesterday.
can I, ma'am?
Yes, sure.
Ma'am, there are six essential nutrients that are required for our body to work properly. Some of them are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and oils, water, fiber,
Yeah.
and I think I'm forgetting one of them.
Right. We discussed about different the importance of each and every one of these nutrients. Can anyone tell us the importance of each nutrient?
Ma'am, can I tell?
Yes, Isha, please.
Ma'am, it was
Ma'am,
me,
first
Mubara Fatima.
Sorry.
Ma'am, it was me, Mubara Fatima.
Okay. Yes, please.
Ma'am, first of all, we have carbohydrates. Carbohydrates provides us with energy to our body. Protein help to repair our tissues, and fats and oils again store energy in our bodies. And vitamins provide us with normal growth, and minerals. Ma'am, I just forgot about minerals and water. Just keep our body hydrated.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mubara. That's it. You have reached and told us most of the points. So, yesterday I told you that there are two types of nutrients, macronutrients and micronutrients. Macro are called as it's reflected from their name. Macro means abundant, and nutrients means nutrient which is required for your body. So the macronutrients are those nutrients which are required by your body in abundant amount, and they include carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. On the other hand, we discussed about micronutrients, and I told you that minerals, vitamins, and water. These three are micronutrients, and they are called micronutrients because they are required in very small amounts in your body, but they have essential functions. They help in carrying out different chemical reactions which takes place in your body. All right. So then we discussed about the percentage, the daily intake, which is to be almost 45 to 60% of carbohydrates, 20 to 35% of proteins, and 15 to 25% fats. This should be a daily intake of these macronutrients. Okay, so again, micronutrients are required in smaller amounts. Now, today's lesson is going to be in more detail about carbohydrates. What are carbohydrates? Girls, as it is represented by this name, carbohydrates. This is divided into two words. The first one The first word is carbo, which is you can say an abbreviation of carbon. All right. And hydrates is the second word. And hydrate, you know that hydrate or hydration, this is a word which we use for water. Okay. So carbohydrates, it means that this is a molecule which has carbon and water in it. Okay. It has carbon and water. So, uh, right. Carbon is an element. I hope everyone knows about carbon.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. In all girls, in all living things, carbons are present. Okay? Carbons and carbohydrates, they are present in all the living things. And okay, so carbohydrates, they are some a macronutrient. They are required in large amount to your body, and as it's represented by its name, carbohydrates are a combination of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen atoms. Okay, so these are three elements from which a carbohydrate is formed, it's produced: carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Simply, we can say that they are known as sugars or starch, glucose, fructose, sucrose. These are different names for various types of carbohydrates. Okay. Yesterday, I showed you a slide in which they were asking about simple and complex carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, if you remember that, carbohydrates are of basic two types: simple carbohydrates, which are simple sugars, and complex carbohydrates include starch and different other sugars, different other molecules. Okay, so basically, simple carbohydrate is referred to a very simple structure of carbohydrate, easier structure. Okay, which is not, which cannot be, or you can say it cannot be further broken down to form more simpler structures. So simple carbohydrates are used in your body as it is. For example, some examples of simple carbohydrates are glucose and fructose, okay, and sucrose. These three are examples of simple carbohydrates. When you consume these sugars, they are absorbed directly into your bloodstream, and your blood, it utilizes these carbohydrates to produce energy. On the other hand, if we see complex carbohydrates are in the form of starch. Okay, and starch is a molecule which is abundantly present in potatoes and different other vegetables. In order to digest starch, our body has a special mechanism. We first break them down into simple sugars and then our body absorbs it. Okay, so is it clear the difference between simple and complex carbohydrates?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what are
Yes,
simple carbohydrates?
ma'am. Simple carbohydrates are those um, uh, sugars which go into your bloodstream as it goes inside your body. And
Yes, exactly.
Directly.
do you have to tell
Complex carbohydrates.
complex carbohydrates break down, first break down and then go to your bloodstream.
Yes, exactly. That's how it is. Okay, so this slide shows two types, the complex one and the simpler ones. Complex carbohydrates are in the form of compounds, for example, starch and fiber. Girls, one more thing which I'd like to add here is this, that complex carbohydrates are usually they provide energy to your body, and they are also used uh, for storage purposes. Okay, in order to store food in your body, complex carbohydrates can be used. For example, there is a carbohydrate in our body which is known as glycogen. Glycogen. Okay, glycogen. Glycogen is a form of a complex carbohydrate, and in this form, our body stores sugars for later uses. All right. So, whenever our body needs sugar, for example, if we are not eating something or we have nothing to eat, and the glucose level of our body it decreases below a certain point, our body is going to start breaking down the glycogen which is stored in the body, and it will break down to form simple sugars, and those simple sugars will be absorbed by the bloodstream in order to maintain a specific sugar level in our body. Okay, our bodies they maintain a level of sugar in your bloodstream because sugar provides energy to all of the cells of our body. It's a source of energy, glucose. Basically, our cells absorb and glucose, and as a result of that absorbance, they produce energy. So, in simple words, you can say that glucose is the basic molecule which is responsible for energy production in our bodies. All right, in one way or another. Indirectly, it can be directly or it can be indirectly. Directly, it will be in this way that you are, for example, if you are drinking a glass of cold drink contains simple sugar. Okay, or if you are having a glass of juice, when you will drink it, that glass of juice is going to contain glucose, and that glucose will be directly absorbed in your bloodstream, and it will be uh, you can say an instant source of energy. If any one of you have noticed this thing, that if someone undergoes this condition in which the sugar level goes down, the our elders they just mix a tablespoon of sugar and salt in a glass, or they give a glass of juice to that person, right? It happens now.
Yeah, if it happens to me, I
Yes,
usually
ma'am.
get headaches and stuff.
Yeah, it happens because uh, these are instant sources of energy. Basically that glass contains glucose, and that glucose is our fuel which provides us energy. So uh, that's why the elder people they know this thing, so they instantly give you a glass of juice, or maybe a cold drink, or maybe something which contains simple sugars. All right. All right. So, simple sugars, they provide energy, but no fiber, vitamins, or minerals. And they are also giving you the sources in which we can found complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates can be found in pasta, bread, cereals, rice, bananas, vegetables, mostly green vegetables and potatoes, cauliflower, kidney beans. These are some sources. We call all of these foods which contain complex carbohydrates or simple carbohydrates, we call these foods as sources of these carbohydrates. Okay, so these are written sources of complex carbohydrates, and the sources of simple carbohydrates include fruits, juices, as I told you earlier, honey, milk. Okay, refined sugar products means the all of the products of sugars which are produced in factories. For example, the table sugar which we use, for example cold drinks, they also use refined sugar. Okay, cakes, biscuits, sugar drinks, soft drinks, these are all sources of simple carbohydrates. All right. Yesterday we discussed this thing that fiber is a part of a complex carbohydrate, but it is not used to produce energy. Instead, it helps in the process of digestion. All right. And it is abundantly found in whole grain bread, in cereals, in vegetables, in legumes, in fruits. Okay, there are some direct sources of energy as well. Direct source of fiber as well, such as ispahol, such as chia seeds. Do you know what are chia seeds?
Yes,
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
But I bet कि सबने खाए हुए हैं एक दफा लाइफ में chia seeds.
yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, which one are they?
Have you seen? Has any one of you had faluda?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
उसमें
ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
it's
मैंने
called
खाए हैं.
faluda.
फालूदा खाया हुआ है ना
Flax
सबने?
seed.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
that those
Yes,
black
the
small ones.
those
We have
black
the goo around them.
gluey types of seeds
Which
which are
have the goo
inside.
around them.
Yes,
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am, I
those,
have.
yes, exactly. Those seeds are called chia seeds. They are actually black in color, but when we put it in water for some time, they soak up water, and then they turn into this gluey type of appearance.
Ma'am, they are
All right.
also called flax
Yes,
seeds.
ma'am.
No, flax seeds are different. Flax seeds are also a very good source of fiber, but flax seeds and chia seeds are different. Flax seeds are of brown color, they are brown in color, but chia seeds are black in color. Even their appearance is different. You can search it out on Google, that what the difference between flax seeds and chia seeds.
Ma'am, I
So they
have
are different.
them.
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm saying that both of them, and there is a difference when you see them. I think there's a difference in the size as well.
Yeah, flax seeds are a bit bigger, uh, but chia seeds are smaller.
Ma'am, today we will do any work on our neat copies.
Yes, inshallah, tala, you will.
Ma'am, are these all definitions in our textbooks?
Some of them are there in your textbooks, but some of them are not. as I told you earlier, that your textbook doesn't have that much detail in which we will be inshallah studying. But
Okay,
I'll
ma'am.
share these slides with everyone, and if all of you might know this thing, that I'll also share these recordings. I post it on YouTube because it's easier to
Yes,
share
ma'am.
that link, because it's going to be a video of around 35 to 40 minutes, and it would be rather very difficult for me to share this video
Okay, ma'am.
without a source, such a source, for example, YouTube or something. So that's why I first upload it on YouTube and then I share the YouTube link with you.
Okay,
I'll
ma'am.
do the same thing for this lesson as well. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. So the role of fiber is that it helps in bowel regularity. What is the meaning of bowel regularity?
Ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, when you go to the washroom regularly.
Yeah, you can say that. Anyone else? Does anyone know that why can one become constipated?
Ma'am, because
Basically, constipation is a condition uh,
we studied that
which occurs due to lack of fiber intake.
and ma'am sometimes lack of water as well.
Yes, and lack of water as well. So, if you don't drink enough water and if you don't have enough fiber in your food, then you will undergo this condition which is known as constipation. All right. We will discuss different conditions which can occur due to deficiency or due to excess use of these nutrients. Can anyone tell me what will happen if you eat more than required fiber intake,
Ma'am,
daily percentage?
can you
Ma'am,
please?
We will get fat.
No,
will still will still be constipated if we like eat too much, maybe.
no,
Excuse me, ma'am.
Ma'am, our stomach would be upset.
yeah.
Ma'am, can you please
Can anyone tell me the specific term which is used for that?
Ma'am, diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
Yes, exactly, diarrhea. Diarrhea is a condition which occurs if we have too much fiber in our food. And if there is deficiency of fiber in your food, then you will be suffering from constipation. You will not be suffering from constipation. Anyone who doesn't uh, have proper fiber intake, they do suffer from constipation. All right. So, where can we get complex carbohydrates? These are different pictures of different sources of complex carbohydrates. And where do simple carbohydrates come from? Some are good and some are bad. Why? What do they mean by this? That some simple carbohydrates are good and some are bad.
The ones
Like
like fruits are good, and the ones like cold drinks and donuts are not that good. They
Yeah.
are not good.
But what's the reason? Why?
ma'am,
Uh,
they
co-
Ma'am,
contain
some are
a very big
saturated and some
amount
are
of
not.
carbohydrates, and that's harmful for us, maybe.
Ma'am, some are saturated, some are not.
And ma'am, they
ma'am?
can also cause us diabetes.
And ma'am, the fruits have natural sugar while other sodas and donuts have, I guess, refined.
Yes, that's also a very good point. that fruits
Ma'am,
they have
some
natural sugars.
Ma'am, some
some
are
contain
saturated
naturally
and some are not.
chemicals.
Yes, some are
Ma'am,
saturated and some are not.
ma'am, if we eat like these
Some
donuts
contain
and
physical.
we drink cold drinks, ma'am, we can also get diabetes
Yes,
because
basically
they
all
contain so
these,
much sugar.
yeah, they contain bad sugar because this bad sugar is actually the sugar which is refined in factories. All right, it's produced in factories from natural sugars, but they are somehow synthetic. All right, man-made, human-made. So that's why the refined sugars they are bad for us. Even that table sugar is not healthy. The sugar which we eat in regular life, that sugar is not a healthy form of sugar.
And ma'am, some
One
people
reason to this can be a fact that if you have noticed, all the fruits or even all the foods which have natural sugars, natural sugar is not that much sweet
yes.
as
And
compared
ma'am, they
to
have a
table sugar.
yes, ma'am, and they have
Hmm?
a minimum amount of sugar, not a
Yeah,
maximum amount of
basically,
sugar.
the natural sugar it has the amount which is required by our body, but the this synthetic sugar which we use, it is more sweet, and
Yes.
that much sweetness is also not good for our bodies, as one of you told that it can cause diabetes and many other diseases. The
Yes.
diabetes can lead to many other diseases. So it's better to avoid them. Instead of table sugars, we can use brown sugar, right? We can
Ma'am,
use gur.
is
We can use honey.
diabetes is the one of the disease that is not curable or not that cannot be
Yeah,
cured.
it cannot be cured. It's if you means if you undergo if someone undergoes diabetes, it is going to last for
Yes.
that person for
Yes,
lifetime.
ma'am, it can be controlled. It
It
can
can
be
be
controlled, but
controlled,
it
but it
cannot be
cannot
cured.
be cured. Yes. It's actually because sugar level is controlled by our bodies, by some hormones of our bodies. All right. And when we eat excess of sugars, those hormones will be released more often. Okay. And they will be released in more abundance. So you see, if it's going to create a pressure on your organs. For example, pancreas is the organ which is responsible for controlling blood glucose levels. So, if a pancreas is producing more hormones than it is supposed to use or than its capability, then it is going to collapse at a certain point. It will produce, but after that certain point it's going to collapse, and that's what happens to a diabetic person, that the pancreas of the person it collapses, and as a result our body is not able to produce enough amount of insulin. That's why mostly diabetic persons they have insulin injected in their bodies.
Yes, ma'am.
If yeah, because insulin is the hormone which is responsible to control blood glucose level, and this happens because we eat refined sugars in these days, in the modern days. We are so much used to eat sugars, bakery products, that we are actually burdenizing our body organs. It would be harder to digest. It's more complex. They use complex sugars, so it's going to take more time to break down, and then it will be more abundant and more than the requirement of our body. So we need to stick to our natural diet. If you see in older times, people were used to be more healthier, and they used to have long lives, right? The reason was this, that they used to eat healthy food. And in this era, uh, the lifespan of a human being has reduced to uh, an average of 60 years, right? That's the reason to this is
That's
the
short.
same. What? That's short.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
The average lifespan of human being now is 60 years.
Ma'am,
Most
now
of
but
the
Ma'am, I
people
think
my
that's
die
very
at that.
short.
Yeah, exactly. It's very short. So, girls, that's all about carbohydrates, and we are going to, inshallah, Tala, wind up this lesson over here because it's almost 10:45.